Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover
Leftover
Lasagna is a
lasagna
podcast hosted by
my
Nitin
charge
and Tony Uncle. Leftover Lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagne, the weekly podcast that does not even know why it exists and has forgotten to care about it. In a world that is under a constant cannonade of content creation continually cudgeling our cranial cores, a world which needs sense makers, Leftover Lasagne is proud to be the nonsense maker. Most podcasts need a Ryzen dead trip, but this podcast creates a Dyson extra. You need to make that vacuum work extra hard to sop up all this mess that we create. And while you may ask, what's the point of it all? We are finally happy to announce that Leftover Lasagna is the proud contributor to the Oxford Word of the Year, brain rot. I am Tony, and I make as much sense as Yoon Suk Yeol, the Korean president who declared martial law, only to be declared Soon Suk Yeol. And joining me is my co-host, a man known as the martial arts expert, and extra martial arts expert even, because he will leave you feeling like a marsh. Wet, hot, and a little bit dirty. The man who will never bog you down. Say hi, Nitin Sudhir.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for stealing my martial law, marital law joke, even as it was forming in my mind. And cracking. That would have been a great out, no, for that South Korean guy. Oh, you guys misinterpreted. I actually said that I'm imposing marital law because our population is declining. We want people to marry more. So there is a compulsory marital law, but you guys thought martial law. I don't know. Brain rot is word of the year, is it?
Yeah.
It's not even one word. It's two words.
Yeah, exactly. That it's a little meta.
Which is a good sign of the brain rot. We literally can't come up with single words anymore. That much the brain has rotted. So we come up with compound words like brain rot.
Beautiful.
Word of the year, yeah. Which is the first word of the year that you remember?
What? First word of I have no idea. What was last year's word of the year? Goblin mode. There was something like goblin mode, I remember. Riz. I think last year was Riz.
I think Riz was word of the year.
The year before that was goblin mode, which I still don't know what it means.
Me neither. Yeah.
Brain rot is the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state as the result of overconsumption of online content, which is perfect because you don't even remember last year's word of the year. So much nonsense has seeped into our brains that it is fully rotted off.
The very first time I came across word of the year, what I remember, I think was back in 2002 or 2003 when they said blog is the word of the year. I'm sure you remember this.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And it seemed like so cool, right? This new word. What is a blog? A blog is actually a short form of weblog.
Weblog. At least in that era, the difference was we were young enough to have known of the word blog before it became word of the year, right? Like this year, I'd never heard of brain rot before they told us it's the word of the year. Or I never heard the word Riz before last year they told us it was the word of the year. Or goblin mode, I still don't know what it is. So I think we're just aging.
Goblin mode is our word of the year for 2025. Maybe by then we would have heard of it. But we might have never heard of brain rot, but we sure have experienced it. So yeah, I think that's all matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
See, back in 2002, I think it was, when blog was the word of the year. And then 3-4 years back, suddenly Substack became a big deal. And, people started abandoning their WordPress blogs. Before WordPress, there was Blogspot. Do you remember Blogspot?
Blogspot, yeah. Correct. I still have Blogspot.
Yeah, because you create something and then you don't want to create another one. Also, you don't want to write. Correct. So why do you create it? The Blogspot gave way to WordPress. Literally no difference. I think WordPress had a slightly more subtle aesthetic to it. That's all it had going for it.
Correct.
What is Substack? Substack is basically the same blog only. Like people are like, oh no, it's a newsletter. I don't know, what is the difference? You write 1,000 words and people come and read it. Yeah.
I mean, basically, it is not Substack. It is Substuck. Everyone is stuck where they have been all along. We're just like wearing new clothes.
Yeah, Emperor has new clothes. Substandard. Everything is substandard. Nowadays, whenever I hear the word blog, the first thing that comes to my mind is, of course, Twitter. Because
which is the erstwhile microblogging platform known as Twitter.
No, exactly right. So we keep saying, which is the most influential social network, and some people say Facebook, people say Instagram, and all of that. But Twitter has always had the most weighty qualifiers attached to its name, right?
Yeah.
So it used to
Right.
be microblogging platform Twitter. There was no other microblogging platform that took off, right? All the others were basically called a clone of Twitter, like Ku, a clone of Twitter,
Correct.
or
Correct.
Mastodon,
And
a clone of Twitter. But Twitter is a microblogging site.
and Twitter was also called, I believe it was also called the town square of the internet or something like that. Some
Yeah, yeah.
very big proper
Yeah,
things. It
so
was.
cool, no? Like almost like the
Yeah,
word
very
blog. Feels so cool to hear it. But you come
yeah.
in and see it is all Substack only. But now, like you said, that has changed now because thanks to Elon Musk, it is now X, the like you said, the formerly known as Twitter, the microblogging site. So what X is now, nobody knows. They only know what it used to be.
Proper identity crisis for X also.
I think Oxford can suddenly announce Twitter is the word of the year, backdated for 2009 or something,
Oi.
because the erstwhile word of the year 2009.
Speaking of phenomenon that we don't understand, like who picks the word of the year? Nitin Sundar, your elder brother, Pichai Sundar, has announced that they've come up with a new quantum chip. And while in the Sundar family, you're the master of the pillow talk, apparently Pichai Sundar is the master of willow talk. So this quantum chip is called willow, and apparently it can perform mathematical calculations which would have otherwise taken 10 raised to 25 years, and can do those calculations in 5 minutes, right? And
Amazing.
apparently the other big deal about this is that the errors are fewer. Now my question is,
I have a question before you proceed. What do they mean by errors are fewer? If I'm going to dedicate 10 raised to the power 25 million years to a math problem, I better get the correct answer at the end of it. It makes errors
that's
fewer.
exact
Hello.
correct, that's exactly what I'm saying, right? Is that basically, like, we don't know who picked the word brain rot. Nobody understands what quantum computing is. Okay, I will be the first to admit I have no idea what the fuck it is. Second is that okay, this computer has thrown out an answer, and now you can't wait to verify it 10 days to 25 years later. How the fuck do you know this is the right answer? Word of the year is brain rot. The answer to this complex question is the number 42. How the fuck will you know?
Oh, no. So this all makes sense if you think about it. You said
Yeah.
you don't know what quantum computing means. Neither do I. But I can venture a guess. No, I'll get to it in 5 minutes itself, not in 10 to the power 25 million years.
Oh, this is brilliant because, Nitin, the other meta thing that happened to us last week was that you uploaded an episode of Leftover Lasagne, but across multiple podcast platforms, the size of the podcast just doubled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We just
I don't
played
know.
twice.
Yeah, back to back. So nice you listen to
We
it
were
twice.
into quantum.
Yeah. It was basically weblog followed by Substack. Both versions, same thing only.
Yeah.
Two types.
An episode so nice you hear it twice or not at all because we put it like, what the fuck, 1 hour 52 minutes of this.
Exactly. It backfired on us. And we have no idea why that happened. So sorry to our regular listeners for having baited and switched you in or out, depending on what raised your hackles last week. And also killed
There
our
was
stats.
actually one dedicated listener,
Yeah.
I think it was Uttara, who said she apparently played the full thing, waiting for some trick reveal. And I'm like, wait. You just heard the episode
funny.
twice. But she's an RCB fan, so I'm sure she's used to.
She's used to going through the same thing every day and the same script repeating every year. So there you go. Now, so quantum computing, we explained what brain rot is, right? Brain rot happens because of too much of exposure to all the content around you. So the way to deal with brain rot, or the way to protect yourself from brain rot, from getting overexposed to bad content on the internet, is condom computing. You wear a condom, it protects you from the bad stuff coming out of
Oh my
all the
god.
computers out there.
Yeah. And this will obviously be written in latex.
Oh. What's the joke there? Sorry, I want to act like I got it.
Latex is
Oh, it's some computer language, is it?
Yeah, latex is an editor which you don't remember your most favorite person in the world, Ajesha, has an episode entirely on latex, right? Which is an online editor that yeah. So quantum computing is where the rubber meets the road, is what you're saying, where you are
That's what
basically
it is.
protecting your brain from brain drain.
Yeah.
Okay, good idea. The whole thing about what they say about biases, right? The best way to avoid a bias is to call it out inherently and say, look, this is a bias that exists, do you know of it? And then suddenly, like, it is fresh in your mind, so you'll remember. It works best with the recency bias, which is my favorite bias of all time because I just learned about it. It's a joke that works well for recency bias. Right? It's not even my joke. But anyway, so the point is that the only reason I brought up this topic on Leftover Lasagna was with the hope that at least with putting it out as a podcast thing, I will learn what quantum computing is. Okay. So I did the first thing, which is to go to Wikipedia and looked at what quantum computing is. And this is what it says. A quantum computer is a computer that explains quantum mechanical phenomena best. Okay. Classical physics cannot explain the operation of these quantum devices. Their entire explanation in the first paragraph says, it's okay, you don't understand it. So I went to YouTube.
This is
I
full
looked
round
at-
tripping, by the way. Did you understand?
Exactly.
You went to ask what is quantum computing. Quantum computing is used to explain quantum mechanics because normal classical physics cannot explain quantum computing.
Cannot explain.
Now, like, what
Correct.
is this?
Correct, exactly. So I went to the first two YouTube videos saying quantum computing explained in simple terms. Okay. And both of them are 5-minute videos. But before sort of playing the video, I looked at the first comment. And the first comment on both of them is, this explains nothing. I'm still clueless about what quantum computing is. Therefore, we are basically in a very, very weird era where we are straddling both ignorance and knowledge, right? And I think that is what
Yeah.
quantum computing is, right? Instead of basically the idea is that instead of classical computers either existing in a state of 0 or 1 when they do calculations, quantum means it can exist both as a particle and a wave, so it can exist as both 0 and 1, and it is taking a probabilistic guess of what the answer is. So your question as to why it causes errors is that the probabilities, it's a probability based guess, right? So therefore
Correct.
errors are caused. So what Willow claims to do is reduce those errors. And I don't know what what this means, to be honest, but I think it just means that you should invest in Nvidia stocks. That's about it, because this is also going to use lots of
No.
qubits, as it were.
No, this explains that you should both invest in Nvidia stock and sell all your Nvidia stock because that is how you hedge your bets.
Beautiful. Quantum stock investment.
Yeah, it's called algorithmic trading. Now, tell me, did Sundar Pichai is of course a famous cricket fan, right, or famously known to be a big cricket fan, right? So was this named Willow as a reference to the wood
It's a
used
good
in
question.
cricket bats? Yeah.
Yeah. Why is it called Willow?
And if so, it is a great choice, I must say, because as we know, right, as big cricket fans, we also are currently witnessing the Indian cricket team playing an important series against Australia, where they won the first match by playing really well and then got hammered in the second match. And great batsmen have been getting out, right, playing shots. The same shots that used to get them boundaries sometimes are now getting them out more frequently.
Yeah.
Which really refers to the uncertainty in the answers that quantum computing can throw out, right? So, and what do you use to solve for that problem? You use a better piece of Willow. So, Virat Kohli, Google computing, quantum computing is the solution to your extended rut of bad form. Bits and pieces meets leftover lasagna once again.
No, but I think he's always just been a limited batter. High chops. But anyway, so the point being that now people are saying that this will mean the end of encryption if it is real, right? That if this is so powerful at computing, it will break many encryption schemes, which means all of your passwords or even stuff like Bitcoin will lose value. Right?
This is excellent because I never used to encrypt my password. So yeah, I've finally been vindicated.
What is your password?
I'm not going to tell you. Hey, nice try. Well for that.
Social engineering for the win. Yeah, so I think that is enough about Willow, which we still don't know what is about, what quantum computing is about either. But I feel it's a great commentary on the times that we live in. That we are
Yeah.
bombarded with some new jargon every day, and we
Yeah.
have no idea what it is, except for some scary headlines that come out of it, which are not true.
There is more jargon coming at us, and as we can see, not just one piece of jargon a year, because the word of the year for this year is something we will only learn about in the future. But as more and more jargon inundates our head, what does it say to the jargon that already exists?
Jargandi. Yes,
Exactly.
come on.
See, this is how I like to up
One
level you,
Tirupati
because I
language.
set it up for you and help you get, the journey. It's like my
Thank
Tirupati Prasad.
Thank
I basically gave you a laddu and you took it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you were going through that very detailed explanation of quantum computing, the thought that I had in mind goes back to a few of the comments I've seen from our listeners, right, who love this podcast. There aren't too many of them, but some
Yeah.
of them have wandered over here and they say that this is a great substitute for Simplified, which was the other podcast that
really?
you used to be a part of, right? Simplified used to explain things happening in the world.
Correct.
And if Simplified was talking about quantum computing, you would have actually gotten somewhere, right? You would have actually explained
Correct.
something about quantum
This is
computing.
true.
Imagine what people are having to settle for, right? By coming to Leftover Lasagne. 10 minutes on quantum computing. At least the videos you didn't watch. At least the videos you didn't watch are only 5 minutes long. At the end of it, the first comment was, I learned nothing. We are already 10 minutes into this.
No, but this is better because we've started out with the promise that there is nothing. Like this is
Correct.
not a sense-making podcast; it's a nonsense-making podcast. So
Correct.
anything that you get out of it is entirely bonus content.
Coincidental.
But,
Yeah.
I think the fundamental thing that we can conclude with is that the only thing that you need to take away is Betteridge's law of headlines stands good at all times, right? Nitin, you know Betteridge's law of headlines, right?
I have no idea. Please. Share.
Okay. It's basically the adage that says that any headline that ends in a question mark can be answered by the word no. Right? So, will willow mean the end of encryption as we know it? It could be a headline that you come across, and then instead of reading the full thing, no, fuck off. So that is Betteridge's law of headlines. So I think
Doesn't work
is
that way, no?
applicable now. Why?
An apt headline for this episode will be, what is quantum computing? The answer actually gives
No.
whatever we have said is no only.
No. Correct. That is it. What is quantum computing? No.
No. Perfect.
Super.
Yeah.
Super.
We're talking about Google, obviously. I'm sure they've had a huge stock bump after this announcement of Willow, because they are now getting ahead of the curve in this arms race for, whatever it is. Yeah, they've come up with something cool, so they're obviously going to, go up and all of that. But there is another news around Google, which went viral in India a few days back. This is about a family that was driving from Bihar to Goa. Okay. And they were driving from Bihar to Goa and they got lost on the way in the forests of Karnataka. Right? This was a family in a car. They were following Google Maps. They drove into the forest, as it happened late in the night, somewhere near Belgavi, which is close to Goa. And then they lost their way and had to sort of stay safe inside their car, because that's an area frequented by bears and other kinds of wild animals. And eventually had to wander around for a while looking for mobile reception and then call the police to come and rescue them, right? And this is the second time in 2 weeks now, or in 2 episodes of Leftover Lasagne, that Google Maps has ended up backfiring on people, because we spoke about that very, very scary incident of another group in a car that fell down a bridge, right? They were driving through a bridge which was not completed and they fell down and died. And here you have people going from Bihar to Goa who got lost in Karnataka, and they blame.
You know what? You went to Karnataka, but you know what was the biggest complaint around Google Maps, right? In India, was that it would never fucking tell you whether you should take the flyover or not. Right?
Yeah.
And recently, actually, they released an update which said, now we tell you whether to take the flyover or not. Except we don't tell you, is the flyover completed
or not?
Midway. You can take it, but you can never leave.
To this, the solution to this conundrum from Google always was to follow the Betteridge law. Should I take the flyover or not? Answer is no. Is the flyover complete or not? No.
No.
Assume
Correct.
if you don't have a clear answer, assume no. and you'll be safe.
Assume no.
Yeah. So I was reading this article. It's an NDTV. We'll link it. Actually, we won't link it in the show notes. Just Google it. Then. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Ex-user blames.
What show notes?
Yeah, exactly. So just Google. This is what you need to Google for. If you miss it, it'll come back in 50 minutes because this episode also went double on itself. Who knows? Spotify acting up. Yeah. So,
Oh man.
family of 4 gets lost in Karnataka while driving from Bihar to Goa. Now, I was reading that article in NDTV, and in that article, it was mentioned that this is not the first or second time that someone has complained about Google. There was someone else in Bangalore who complained that following Google Maps led to them missing their flight from Bangalore to Bombay. Now, I read that and I said, hang on, was this the pilot using Google Maps to fly from Bangalore to Bombay? Why is he using Google Maps to fly? But no, he was actually a normal passenger trying to go from HSR layout to Bangalore airport. And Google predicted that it will take him 1.5 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes. But it ended up taking him 3 hours to get to the airport, as a result of which he missed his flight. This, by the way, is exactly what happened to me, except for the missing flight part. I think I spoke about this a few days back. It takes 3 hours to go from one part of Bangalore to the airport.
But he was saying that the time shown by Google was incorrect. Okay, fine.
Correct. He was following the route. It said 1.5 hours. It took double that time and he missed the flight. Simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah. Except the good thing about that post is, right, yesterday missed my flight from Bangalore to Bombay because journey took 3 hours instead of 1 hour 45 minutes. But the best part is the second line here. This person is from Bombay. I am deeply grateful to Mumbai administration for investing in infrastructure to keep the traffic moving at least in maximum city. Life is relative. He's happy that this is not his regular.
Looking at the bright side of things. Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it, man. This is how everyone should be, right? Like, you just missed a flight.
No, and if you see, the first comment is dissing Bangalore. And his response to that is also positive. What a guy, man. He's like, it's the startup capital of India, so fuck off. Don't diss Bangalore or Mumbai. The only people you can diss are Google, apparently.
I sometimes get irritated when I meet someone who has such a positive disposition. I think you have to be angry if you missed a flight after 3 hours. Get to the program, my friend.
Yeah. I think this toxic positivity is the bigger problem, right?
There's one more reply. Sir, मेरे को बोलना था मैं बाइक में जल्दी से ड्रॉप कर देता. He's replied next time. Oh, dude, this entire reply is funny. Cabbies in Bangalore should compulsorily offer washroom breaks in between rides, just like overnight buses do.
So this all brought to you by the erstwhile microblogging platform known as Twitter.
Formerly known as Twitter. So my point is this, right? So all the ill-gotten gains, or not ill-gotten, hard-earned gains of Sundar Pichai's investment into quantum computing will get burnt away in this form, right? Like if you put an unsolvable problem like Bangalore traffic in front of a extremely motivated problem solution like Google Maps, ultimately you're just going to get a black hole at the end of it. There is no way Google Maps can crack Bangalore and its traffic. I believe you're going to Bangalore later this week. I think you're already late, by the way. You're going to miss your flight.
I should leave now to reach the flight on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, it's on Saturday. Okay. Yeah. Then you should have left yesterday. We are recording on Wednesday, folks.
Already late. Now no point. Try to
no
guess
point.
the flight. World that is making less and less sense. We've had the CEO of United Health Insurance who was assassinated point blank by a random person who has since been identified as the Italian name that, if you were put under a gun and asked to come up with an Italian name,
I would come up with Mario. No, I would come up with Mario.
Close, but the person who killed the CEO
I forget his full name.
has been identified yesterday. His name is Luigi Mangione. Like, you remember that scene in Inglourious Basterds where they dress up as an Italian guy and his name is Antonio Margheriti. And he's like, no,
Antonio Margheriti. Yeah. Margheriti.
So this is Luigi Mangione, who is 26 years old, and basically the suspect who shot this guy point blank. Except the internet is full of sympathy for him,
Yeah.
And the person, how he was identified basically is by the McDonald's that he went to, right? And promptly the internet divided into two camps. One is
Yeah.
to find a shirtless photo of our man Luigi
Mangione.
Mangione, and it turned into a thirst trap for several people, right? Because there was a shirtless photo of him with like six pack and all of that, right?
This is called brain rot, guys. Yeah.
The other group basically went to the McDonald's listing, which ratted him out, and gave it 1-star reviews on Google,
Of
right?
course.
Because they're like, how the fuck can you show a killer out, right? And this is the world that we live in, where someone's been shot for being a CEO, point blank in the middle of New York City, and the immediate sympathies are with the killer, right? Who apparently has a
Yeah.
manifesto also. So yeah, I don't know how to make sense of this. Which part
I
of
agree
this
with you.
absurdity would you like to tackle first?
No, leave the absurdity for a minute, right? Like, I saw this thing again on the erstwhile microblogging platform where this Mancioni thing started trending, right? And I, like we just discussed, right, your goblin face or whatever, we are always behind the curve, right? I don't know what this
Yeah.
Mancioni thing is. So I'm like, okay, what is this? So I go and read up, and it says, oh, this is the guy who shot the CEO, whose name is what? Boris Johnson or Brian Johnson or something. He shot him point blank, and he's been nabbed at a McDonald's.
By the way, his name is Brian Thompson,
Brian Thompson.
just not
Some.
Boris Johnson.
It's okay. It's rhyming, man. Good enough. Yeah. Oh, Boris Johnson is the other guy. Never mind. Anyway. So this problem that I have is whenever there is a news that has already broken and has started developing, and you're trying to catch up with it and get up to speed, it has become incredibly difficult to do
Yeah.
it now. Because everything I Google for this thing, the first four links are CNN has a live blog. I open the live blog, it has the
Yeah.
latest thing. NYPD or whatever has just released photo of the person that they were arrested. I'm like, okay, I want to know why he got arrested.
Yeah.
What did he do? I scrolled down 5 pages. It has only reached the page where person was identified in a McDonald's. I'm like, dude, okay, tell me how this started. Who's this guy? Why did he kill him? What was motivation?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
can't get it. You open, and this is the first link, second link, third link. No, it's either Fox News or it's CNN or it is someone else. NDTV has some blog running
Yeah.
on the same thing. Like, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what happened exactly? Then I'm like, okay, I'll wait for Leftover Lasagna. Tony will explain this to me. So, Tony, please explain.
So basically, you're suggesting that if you get left behind in a news cycle, then you're entering goblin mode, where you're trying to gobble up all the pieces of information like Pac-Man and try to
Yeah.
get somewhere. But then suddenly, like those ghosts come in and you're running helter skelter and you never get anywhere. So goblin mode and goblin mode.
You are gobbling. You're
Yeah.
gobbling left behind lasagna, basically.
Okay, so anyway, healthcare in the US is famously fucked up, right? And this CEO was apparently like one who claims about being efficient, and how is being efficient has been like firing a bunch of employees because that's not
Correct.
needed, and instituting automatic AI mechanisms which would deny up to 90% of claims. And I
Ah.
believe this person, his relative, was in severe pain for something, and like basically United kept
Oh.
denying health claims and stuff like that. And he wrote a 2-page manifesto or something, not important. But anyway, it is basically saying that these greedy capitalists have messed up everything, and it's time to send a message now. And the message is apparently murdering someone.
Oh.
This is a very smart guy who was the valedictorian in school, and then his family is also independently wealthy, etc., etc. People started following his social media. Then they're like, "Oh, his
Yeah.
reading is very basic." And one of the tweets was, "Oh, I supported him until he was an assassin, but now that I've seen his Goodreads, I don't support him anymore." Some shit like that, right? But I think the point fundamentally is that no one's been able to catch up because this guy went missing some 6 months ago from social media and even
Oh.
his family and all that. So
Oh,
we don't know
he's
what
been planning
happened in
this.
the
He's
interim
been planning this from then, sort of.
something like that. Yeah. So in the interim 6-month period, nobody knows where he's been, what he's been up to, stuff like that. And when he was caught, he was apparently caught with some $8,000 and $2,000 in foreign currency or something. And he basically refuted it, saying that's been planted and stuff like that. So this has basically turned into absolute cinema, which is his best hope if he wants to send a message, is that keep this in the news cycle, right? So he managed to do that with six-pack abs, with multiple jackets, with McDonald's and shit like that. And the best sort of news for today is that apparently there was a $60,000 bounty for anyone who would identify this guy, right? 10,000 from NYPD and 50,000 from FBI. But the person who gave this information apparently will not get the $60,000 because the NYPD's $10,000 was based on the premise that you would call the special number set up for it, and I informed them. But he called 911, right? And the best part is that how this is a meta commentary on a claim getting denied for a person who shot someone whose claim to fame was claims getting denied, right? So
Wow.
it is,
We are at a yes.
it's like when the internet delivers, it delivers.
So Betteridge's law can be best used to explain the only takeaway from all of this. Should you be eating at McDonald's? The answer is no. Okay, so since we have spoken about Bangalore traffic already on this episode and how it is going to be the bête noire, I hope that's how you pronounce that word, for Google's quantum computing plans. Here is more from Bangalore traffic. Back in the old days of the erstwhile microblogging site known as Twitter, hitherto known as X, there used to be a popular hashtag called hashtag in Soviet Russia. And in Soviet Russia used to be an ironical hashtag, right? Where it would be like,
In like you could say that in normal circumstances, an auntie shuts down a late night party, right? Or an auntie shuts down a party. But in Soviet Russia, party shuts down auntie, right? Like because Communist Party is all powerful. Like it is, everything is reverse in Russia was the basic idea.
Correct. Basically, in America, you do X2 or you do with Y. In Soviet Russia, Y does X2 or with you. Basically, that is the joke template, right? So, in normal world, in the world as we know it, vehicles stop at a railway crossing and wait for the train to pass before the boom barrier opens, and then vehicles can go. In Soviet Russia, or should I say in trafficy Bangalore, the opposite happened. So this actually happened in Bangalore, where there were vehicles on a railway track, right? They had already started crossing the track in bad traffic, due to which the train had to come and stop and wait for the traffic to clear so that it could then go on its tracks. So a train stuck in Bangalore traffic jam.
Stuck in Bangalore traffic jam. This is brilliant. Like there is no hope for the train. Like
and water lorry. When you are in one of those narrow lanes and you see a water lorry in Bangalore, just abandon all hope. Abandon all hope.
Correct.
Just put on your favorite music, sit back and close your eyes because you're not going anywhere. I've experienced this so many times in Bangalore. It's just
this is also why Bangalore is a startup capital of India, because suddenly now someone here will open up a startup or like start selling peanuts, water, stuff like that, right? Commerce in full flow, traffic has come to a full stop.
I have actually seen this happen in Bangalore, where Zomato delivery guys come and deliver food in a traffic jam. It has happened. I have seen this happen with my eyes, where you're stuck sometimes on outer ring road. Somebody orders food and it gets delivered. Yeah.
Do you think this is the reason why Spotify doubled our episode last week? Because they're like, most of our listeners actually come from Bangalore. So anyway, if you set it up as the podcast that will last you one commute to office, in Google Maps is lying to you, it'll take twice that time. So Spotify is like, let us double up your episode so that it is still fit for your commute. But on this Russia thing, right? Basically, there are these tweets that keep coming up, or X's that keep coming up. One of the ones this week was someone sharing a map of Russia, which said you could drive for 3 days and still be in Russia, and it shows the map of Russia and how wide it is. Right? And then the first comment, of course, is, you can do the same in Bangalore also.
Bangalore
itself. You can drive 3 days and still be in Bangalore.
I found the best example of the in Soviet Russia joke. It just came to me.
Very good. Just in time.
hashtag in Soviet Russia, you watch Big Brother. And the reason I thought of this, by the way, is in our last episode, we spoke about Seen and the Unseen, and Amit Verma's strategy being that he records in 0.5x so that when people speed up the episode, it still feels like normal.
Oh, yeah. Correct.
I think Spotify is actually listening to what we are saying, and it shoved us double time by replaying our episode 2 times. So effectively, it did the same thing to us, except instead of
Oh.
slowing down our episode, it doubled our episode content, which meant you still got like, it went double time. So
Interesting. Yeah.
in Soviet Spotify,
This is-
Big Brother is listening.
Doubles you.
In Soviet Russia, Spotify listens to you.
Yes, this only. This is perfect. This it was
Finally
not
we got
worth the
that.
wait, but it was not worth the wait.
With good editing, it might be.
No hope of that because I am editing this week.
What do you have to say, man, about this? See, that guy who complained about Google Maps leading to him missing his flight. You realize he would have never missed his train because the train itself would have been stuck in traffic. So he would have reached on time. He would have reached before the train.
Yeah.
This is why you need to take trains
Exactly.
when you're in Bangalore.
Correct.
Anyone can, but Bangalore can't take flight. You have to take train only. From Bangalore.
Yeah.
Can't.
So, in a world where you cannot tell if reality is real anymore because it's too hilarious, another startup has made the news. A startup that I won't name, which basically put out this email. Which I mean, like at first glance, you by now our bullshit radars are up top and said it is bullshit. But anyway, they kept delaying it for a while. The email basically said update on stress survey results, and it is marked to several employees. And the email reads, "Dear team, recently we conducted a survey to understand your feelings about stress at work. Many of you shared your concerns, which we deeply value and respect. As a company committed to fostering a healthy and supportive work environment, we have carefully considered the feedback. To ensure that no one remains stressed at work, we have made the difficult decision to part ways with employees who indicated significant stress." This is actually an in Soviet Russia joke, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that yeah? So, Nitin, what are your takes? What is your take on um, these stunts for publicity?
I first have a
Famously, the
question.
previous one-
So, my first question to you is, why are you not naming the company? It's because you don't want to give them further free publicity, is it?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, and hence you decided to make it a segment on our podcast.
Well, we are running short on content now. Come on, like this can't be a
we will.
reason for.
I'm going to double down on that. I'm going to double down on that. We will not name the company, except this story is yet another example of Betteridge's law. Should you be working for this company? No, sir.
No, sir. Beautiful. But I believe they waited too long for the reveal because everyone in social media was up in arms against this company. And then obviously next day they revealed it. I believe it is because this month, this is Mental Health Awareness Month or something like that.
Oh.
They were probably going for a campaign around that. Now, a couple of things. One is obviously you don't wait this long to reveal the damn thing, right? Because internet takes a life on its own. Secondly, the day they chose to reveal it was when Twitter was going mad over our friend Luigi. Thirst traps about him, reading everything he's written so far, stuff like that. So yeah, no sir got in a bit of a big soup. Let's be honest, we'd never heard about this company before yesterday. We'll forget it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yesterday we remembered it for a fair bit. So what is your take on stunts like these? And should we do something similar to bump up the listenership of Leftover Lasagne?
No. Betteridge law. No. Yeah, so it was badly designed, and also they sat on their asses for too long after the fire started raging. Maybe they thought, oh, this is good. Let's continue to fuel the curiosity for a while before we
Ride
come out
the
and
wave.
say, yeah, let's ride the wave.
Yeah.
But the wave became a tsunami, and I think just washed over them, and they are now at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah.
I think they should take lessons from Zomato, who do it a little better, where they don't do fake stuff, right? They just ruffle up the feathers of the internet and then they take on from there, right? It's the same thing that we spoke about before, right? Like on the internet, no one will respond to a question, but if there is a obvious wrong answer under that question, lots of people will come to correct it.
Yeah. No, the thing is, when you first saw that headline that this company had fired these people, for a brief while, you also know that there are companies in India that are capable of doing this, right? So it didn't even seem entirely like a stunt. It looked like, oh shit, this has actually happened.
Yeah.
So I don't think they realized that. I think they thought people will read this and
Yeah.
immediately think that, oh, this is a smart campaign by somebody, and start looking. But I think the quantum of outrage that came out, they did not have Willow to compute the
Yeah.
quantum of outrage properly. So there was error. There
Right.
was a lot more outrage than they might have anticipated, I think. And then they didn't know how to deal with it. And it's whatever it is. The
Right.
difference between Zomato and them is, while Zomato is doing all this nonsense on social media and all the Twitter stuff, they also are a solid company executing on, whatever their stated business is, right? So people love Zomato regardless of what they do on Twitter or social media. Maybe there's a lesson there for companies like Ola and No Sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Are you familiar with the South Korean martial law thing?
I know that they imposed marital law and then they called it off very
Rolled
quickly,
it back.
but that's pretty much it. I was glad with that one, by the way, because it got rolled back very fast. So, while as usual,
Yeah.
I was behind the curve and I felt the ordeal, the pressure of having to understand what exactly has happened. By the time I had to go through it, it became irrelevant. By the time I had to go through it, it became irrelevant. So I was like, okay, cool. This is one lesser thing I need to try to learn. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm
Yeah,
an expert
but
in the
do
matter,
you know
in other words.
what happened BTS behind the scenes of this K drama?
Yeah, no,
I am also
don't.
not aware. But anyway, basically, they have a separate, it is a presidential democracy. And the National Assembly is different from the president who basically rules. And the president has, whose name is Yoon Suk Yeol, or something close to that. Is a far right politician who has very low approval ratings, but the National Assembly is controlled by the opposition, which is Democratic Party, DPK, since 2020,
Okay.
right? And therefore, they opted to roll back the martial law, which is amazing because it was like a vote of 190 to 0, right? This is why we shouldn't run our podcast as a democracy, because if we were to ask the question, should leftover lasagna exist, people would answer with the Betteridge's law and say no.
Yes, exactly. No, one thing is clear, right? With every passing week, there is some shit happening politically across the world. So Syria now there's some massive shit going down in Syria, where Mr. Bashar al-Assad has disappeared and is in hiding somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you have something happening in South Korea. I'm sure next week there'll be something else, right? A few months back, you had pagers
Correct.
exploding in Lebanon. I think the best thing to do at this point in time, if you want to be safe and sane, is to probably be in that train that is stuck in the traffic in Bangalore. Because then you're safe, nothing can get to you, nobody wants to get to you, and you can be happy.
Yeah. Except a Swiggy order of a bowl of chicken soup or something.
It will reach you.
Oh,
by the way, but did you know that Zomato, since we spoke about Zomato, do you know that Zomato actually has a service now where when you're on a train, you can actually order meals and get them delivered to you at the next station by Zomato?
Wow.
It is incredible.
Amazing.
And you just need to enter your PNR. And so smart. And apparently this is not a new thing. This has been there for a while. Your PNR is a small number that gives you so many details, right? It tells you which train you're on, which compartment, which seat, timing of the train, when it is going to reach, what is the next station. And based on this, you can order food and get it delivered. And as we all know, food that you normally get in trains in India is pretty pathetic, right? So how nice to get like your favorite.
Do you remember a time when train food used to be good? Like I distinctly remember in our childhood, it was pretty nice, man. It was like good stuff. I don't know, when did it all go to shit?
Around the time our standards went high, I guess. I don't know.
I just remember one of our loyal listeners, Mr. Casey, sending us a video from the train where they're doing CPR.
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah. That one went viral. Yeah. I think Ashwini Vaishnav, who is the Minister of Railway, I think, right? I'm not the politically strongest
Railway and
person.
Telecom.
Railway and Telecom. So there was...
Who was the Vice President of India?
So this video, basically there's someone in a train in India, I think a Vande Bharat Express, who was having some difficulty breathing. He was actually gasping for breath. But he was conscious. It was just that he was gasping. And meanwhile, some railway professional personnel came, not a trained personnel,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
actually gave them mouth-to-mouth CPR, right? So actually had this person on the floor thumping their chest and smooching them and trying to resuscitate this person who was not actually unconscious. And for a brief moment, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav posted this video saying, "Oh, look at the Indian Railways. We are so, adept at handling even emergencies." Until some 100 people pointed out that you are not supposed to do CPR. A, if you don't know how to do it. B, if the person you're doing it to you is not unconscious. C, just don't do it. Betteridge law. Should you do CPR? The answer is always no, unless you don't have to ask that question, in which case you know it. So, yeah, this happened in a train.
Amazing.
So, yeah, maybe you're actually, so I take that back. You're actually not safe in a train stuck in a traffic jam because you never know. The TTR might come and start giving
someone
you a
would come in to
at
see.
any point in time.
Yeah, I think you should always travel with a do not resuscitate tag on you.
Or wear a condom computing, in which case you will be safe. It is the latex in personal security.
That sound you hear is several of our listeners praying that you don't have good internet in Australia, so that at least for the rest of the year they don't have to listen to this bullshit.
2024 was
Unlike in Soviet Russia, where bullshit listens to you, which is basically LinkedIn.
Oh my god, perfect. Cool.
On that note, we shall bring the Iron Curtain down on episode 29 of Leftover Lasagne. And safe travels, Nitin. Where all are you off to?
Just going to Australia. I'll be spending 5 days in Tasmania before going to Melbourne and Sydney to watch cricket with a bunch of our friends who are also traveling.
How do you pick Tasmania? Like, what is this off the beaten track destination that you're picking?
I mean, I'm already going to Melbourne and Sydney, which is as beaten as the track gets. So, where else you want me to go in Australia? It's hot summer. No, we thought of going to the reef, but apparently it's not the right time of the year to visit the Great Barrier Reef. No, I'm trying to sound like this was well planned, but the correct answer is all the research and planning outside of the cricket was done by my wife Shruti. So maybe in comments Shruti will let us know.
So we'll get her on the podcast.
She will send her usual comment, which will explain why Tasmania is a great place to visit at this time of the year. Before you go to the no, she will explain why.
It's the only place that will still be cold, I suppose. Even
it is cold, yes.
The extreme summer. Yeah.
That's the other thing. I believe Australia is going to be quite hot. The rest of it, Melbourne and Sydney for sure.
Is it because you are arriving?
Yeah.
The Marsh brothers have an edition.
So normal people get their visa and go to Australia, right? But in Soviet, Tony has an Australia visa and doesn't go when everybody else is going. So please.
Correct. Yeah. I am, as my LinkedIn profile will say, a thought leader. I already went and came back before all this nonsense.
Ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, till we meet again, Nitin, this is episode 29 of Leftover Lasagne. If you're a leftover listener, thank you so much for continuing to do this. And if you have ideas on what we should talk about next, please let us know. Send it to us either as a YouTube comment or reach us on social media where Nitin is KNITTINS on the microblogging platform formerly known as Twitter and also on Instagram. And I am NOTYTONY on both of these platforms.
Thank God. I thought you were again.
And also on the railway platform. Also on the railway platform where come deliver us a Zomato delivery with lots of brain rot content in it so we can talk about it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. No, we don't take CPRs at this point in time, but we are always ready for free food. Thank you also to Chops and Casey who have ended up contributing to this episode with their inputs. And yeah, we look forward to more contributions. Your name will be called out on one of the most popular podcasts, which will be the word of the year 10 years from now.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna, no way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover
Leftover
Lasagna is a
Lasagne
podcast hosted by
my
Nitin
Jargon.
and Tony uncle. Leftover Lasagna.
Very funny name.